All right. Welcome everybody to the August, can already be August, Sunflower State Libraries program. I am so pleased that Amy Austin from the Beck Bookman Library would agree to be my guest today. I know she was maybe a teensy-wincy hesitant, as some of you can also relate to. I see Gina has her hand up. Oh, you can't hear me. Can I get anybody else to tell me if they can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, Gina, there's something going on with your sound. So you might want to disconnect and I will let you back in. And Gina, if you miss it, like I said, there will be a link to the recording sent out. So sorry about that. I hope your technical issues come back after you leave and come back. So as I said, we've got Amy from Beck Bookman Library in Holton, Kansas. Amy, could you please introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about your path, how you got to where you're at right now?
Well, actually, I started off in the social work area and corrections area. Moved to Holton, Kansas from Belton, Missouri via Overland Park. So it was kind of a huge thing for me to do. But I came to the library my second day after going and registering with the city so that I could have electricity, and got my library card, met Candy, and at least once a week from there, I was the last person here rushing home from Topeka at my job to make sure to get my book. And one day she talked about retiring and I said, well, why would you retire? You're too young. And she said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. And I said, man, you're lucky. I would never retire from here. I would love to work here. And she said, why don't you apply? I said, well, my master's isn't in library science, it's in liberal arts. And she said, that's fine. So I went through the process and I was very excited. My mom actually has a picture that I drew when I was in the 3rd grade that says, when I grow up, I'm going to own a library. So I don't own one.
You
Yeah,
don't own it yet.
I don't own it, but I get to hang out here all the time. So I'm pretty lucky. We've gone through a lot of changes since I've been here. I think just because the city has also grown so much. Holton does now have 3,500 people, but we are the only library in Jackson County, Kansas. And so we serve over 13,000 people. We also have a lot of traffic that goes through here. We have a lot of truckers that come in, have a seat, and use our Wi-Fi, stuff like that. So it's a busy little place. It has rebounded, thankfully, after COVID, and we are one of the lucky ones in that respect, as far as getting people here, getting kids to our summer programs and everything. But every morning I walk in and I say, good morning, library. And that's I have awesome. For almost 5 years. So
wow, I can't believe it's already been 5.
Yeah.
I guess COVID did that. My next question was just to talk a little bit about Holton. You already kind of got into that. It is on Highway 75, just north of Topeka. So when you're driving up to Nebraska, it's one of your last really convenient stops to drop in there, right between where the highway goes from 2 lanes to 1 lane, which that's what I always think about. It also has a really lovely square that seems like it's got business. There's always been like a great restaurant there, it seems like. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on just like in the community?
We actually have several great restaurants now. We have Mercantile, it used to be called Kroger's, and it is the store that people my age went in when we were young and we got to pick 2 things. They have an ice cream bar back there. You can get different floats that you want. They have a little candy shop where you can get a pound of licorice if you want. And then everything you can imagine is in that store. But really around the square, we have everything we need. And then we also, of course, have farm store, and our lumber yard is coming back. So it's really a thriving community. And we also have Johnsonville Brats. So lucky for us, they love giving brats away for our fundraisers and our customer appreciation days. So Holton is it has everything.
Cool. Great place if you like meats, because there's
Yes.
also the was it the kind of butcher that's on the square, I believe, as
The Holton
well.
Meat Market. Mhm.
Yeah, I think they do
Yes.
beer ox. I've been wanting to check that out.
They
Okay, so can you just give us librarian folks just an idea of how the library operates, those hours? It must have been open late enough for you to get there from Topeka. Staffing, how many are there, and just how you're kind of board and how you work with your city there in Holton.
Sure. We are now open from 9 to 6 Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 on Fridays, and then 9 to noon on Saturdays. We used to be open, we started at 9:30. I always thought that was so strange. So on April Fool's Day, I decided we're going to start opening at 9, and that actually gave us extra hours, so it was helpful. We do only stay open till 6 because after 6 we find that there's just absolutely no traffic. The square all closes down at 5. So 6 is just real handy. On Friday is game nights. Sports are really huge here in Holton. So 5 makes sense as well. And then Saturday mornings, we have our regulars that come in, check their email, stuff like that. But we're not real busy on Saturdays. But during the week, we've been seeing on average over 102 people a day, right around. So we've had a couple days where we saw 185. And I'm the only full-time person. And then I have 3 part-time people that come in various hours of the day. During the summer, we always try to have 2 people here. During the school year in the winter, usually 1 person can usually handle it. There are certain days, Thursdays especially, that we try to have 2 because that is our rhyme time day where all the kids come in the morning.
Excellent. It does sound like it's thriving. Okay. So a little segue. We haven't really done this before, I don't think, is shared a video. But I think that this group and the people who watch this later will appreciate the work that went into this about the library. So let me work out the stop share. And now we will share again with sound. All right, folks, see that video, I think, screen. And Amy, I'm going to play this real fast. We have sound?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, folks. So this is the part where just sit back. It's about 3 minutes. So we'll get through this, and then we're going to talk about a little bit what this video is kind of pointing or alluding to. So hope you enjoy it.
In small towns, libraries are more than just buildings full of books. They're places where the community can come together to meet, learn, and grow. Beck Bookman Library is a vital part of the Holton community, but it's facing some serious problems. Water damage, overcrowding, and other building-related issues are making it difficult for the library to serve its patrons effectively. That's why Beck Bookman Library and the Friends of Beck Bookman Library, FOBL for short, are working hard to raise funds to create a new space that is truly remarkable, one that adds even more value to Holton and Jackson County. We plan to renovate and expand the library with the help of an area architecture firm. Though we're still in the blueprint phase, we do have a clear vision and welcome ideas from patrons. In the meantime, check out what we're envisioning for Beck Bookman 2.0. The new large meeting room is a flexible space that can be used for library programming or community meetings. Movable walls will allow for different configurations and uses. Currently, so many people attend Beck Bookman's summer reading programs that it's a fire hazard, so this space is necessary. There will be an open lounge area with comfortable seating, charging stations, and public computers, offering more privacy than the larger computer stations. This area will also showcase new items as well as monthly displays. We're also expanding our selection of large print books and creating a designated area for them. This will give more people access to the books they love. Flex areas will be added throughout the library, offering perfect places for Zoom meetings, proctored tests, and private small meetings. A kitchenette will be added, allowing us to expand to food-related classes and offerings, prepare and refrigerate food and beverages used for library programs, and will be a handy addition for employees as well. A new adult fiction and nonfiction area will provide an updated and modern space for patrons to enjoy. And we're also expanding our children's area, adding 2 computers, soft seating, and reading nooks. The area will be a safe, fun, and engaging place for our youngest patrons. For our teens, we envision a new room that includes a computer and gaming system, study areas, along with age-appropriate reading material. This will be a safe place for local teens to gather and connect. Finally, we're adding an outdoor area perfect for nature-related programming, outdoor activities, and community events, as well as a smaller dedicated area for children's STEM education. We've got big ideas, but we can't do it without your support. Whether you donate your money, time, or talents, you can help us create something beautiful in our town. Remember, libraries are for everyone, and they're an essential part of our community. Thank you for your generosity and for partnering with us to make Beck Bookman a community treasure for generations to come.
All right, let me get this back. So let's see here. Amy, you were just talking about how this video has been used so far. When was it produced?
Well, right before our Brews for Books, that was on a Sunday, and Annie Brock, she's part of the board, the FOBL board. She came on Saturday and she said, so what are we going to do for tomorrow? And I was like, well, I made this poster board thing, and I had a poster board of yucky pictures and good pictures. And she's like, hey, can I just have the pictures? And I said, sure. And then Sunday morning, she sends me this video, and I just bawl.
Wow.
Because I was like, oh my God, she did such a great job. So
Absolutely.
That Sunday, we used it on Brews for Books. We had it all over the brewery on all the TVs instead of any sporting events or anything. People really couldn't hear it because we did have a band there that day. But then for our customer or patron appreciation day, we have had every Saturday now for the past 3 years, every first Saturday in May. We have brats and games. It's kind of like a little carnival in our yard. And we actually had the dessert in here this year so that people had to come into the library, and we had that playing on a 55-inch screen TV on loop. So, you know, a lot of people got to see it, and it's just been amazing. I've put it on Facebook a couple times. I don't want to, you know, keep it on there all the time.
Right.
But, and I also share it with people who I go talk to about maybe contributing to our cause.
Yeah, it's great because obviously it's all packaged up there nicely, and you can share it online. So that was great that you had the photos ready to go. It's something that I've always tried to say, you know, if you're not taking photos at your events, seems like it's a really good idea. And then maybe get some waivers as well so that you can use those kiddos pictures and everything in there. So, but yeah, nicely done. What a great resource to have somebody that will just on a whim
Yes.
put everything together. It looks like it was done in Canva. We did have a question from a participant, and yeah, I was surprised to see in Canva as well. So let's see if there's anything else. Such a great video, Amy. Yep. And do you share it with other towns that you service is a question. So yeah, how does that work when you're like almost the county? I mean, you are the county branch basically. How do you reach out to those other small towns to get them involved?
Really, it just depends on if they're coming, you know, if they're coming to the library or not. We have, you know, Wetmore is not in Jackson County, but it's close, and they have a little library and everything too, and they're really trying to get going. But really, I've just kind of around this area, I've shared it with people.
Right. Cool. Yeah, so you guys have this obviously this is all about a building project. Before I even looked in the corner of the plans, I was like, I know those that space planning tool because we've used that at a Directors Institute several years ago, and that's because it's from the Sabatini group.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that they just make available when you're working on a project. At one point, we had the paper version of that where you can kind of lay out all the different library spaces and see how they all work out. But it sounds like you guys are still kind of in that stage where you're kind of dreaming big and haven't really got to blueprint part. Is that right?
We actually have chose a contractor. We have not signed any contracts yet. We have a meeting on the 16th with the board, the contractor, and FOBL. We have a couple questions to ask before we sign all the, scary paperwork.
Right.
But that is our final footprint, what we're going with. As far as maybe how many computers and stuff like that, that will depend on how much money we raise. But that's our final plan that we have.
Okay. And so it has a lot of outdoor space, obviously, which is great to see. Is that on I'm trying to think of the orientation. Is that on the south side of the building where those outdoor spaces are? Or is that off to the north?
It is going to actually, so the expansion is going to be off to the north, and then there'll be some outside space beside it on the northeast side. So that's where the outdoor space will be. And we're hoping to get an amphitheater there.
Wow.
Holton, unfortunately, doesn't have any large meeting rooms that are free to anybody. So if you want to have any kind of meeting, you either have to pay for it, go to the coffee shop, or hope that no one is in our one little meeting room. Right. So once we get the larger one built, we'll be able to cordon those off with movable walls so that more than one thing can be going on at a time. And that's kind of what's getting people started, because right now we have 2 Bible study groups a week. We have the homeschoolers group that comes in, we have the knitting group that comes in, and then of course we have the kids on Thursday. And so those are weekly things, and once we get a bigger room, then we'll be able to invite more people to have meetings as well.
Yeah. And you use that other meeting room for all kinds of other things. I remember there being kind of book sales in there. Yes. So it has, I'm sure, like a lot of people can relate to this, is that it serves a lot of needs. And it's not a giant room.
No,
it is space for you to be that's not in the library main area. So that sounds great. And you've been working with the Sabatini group now, I would guess, for quite a while getting to this stage. How's that process been?
Yes. Well, when you work with a board and people have to agree on everything, boards like to table things. And I think one of the things that has happened, I probably got talked about a little bit or whatever, only because if somebody doesn't keep it moving, it's not going to move. I firmly believe that when it comes to a board, but just with a little pushing, and once the community and once FOBL actually got involved, because our FOBL group is new. But once they got involved and they came in and their energy kind of took over and their realization for everything took over, it really helped the board decide, okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this. And Sabatini, oh my gosh, they have a lot of patience. I will just say that.
Yeah.
A lot of patience.
Right. Well, yeah, and there's a lot of projects, I'm sure, that we kind of, we start bringing in the architects. For those of you who aren't aware, Nichols kind of contracts with the Sabatini architecture group. They're based here in Lawrence, at least they were. And so we kind of keep them on retainer, and then Nichols will pay up to a certain amount for kind of an initial consultation with them. So they've been having a lot of experience now with libraries, which I think can be difficult because not every architect really gets libraries and maybe have never had any experience with it. So I think that's kind of, as they get more and more experience, it just makes them better and better at serving us. So We did have a question about CBDG grants, if asking if that was on your radar. And you know what? I honestly do not know what that is off the top of my head. I assume there's some sort of grant, which is really rare to get grants to actually pay for spaces. At one point in time, there was Carnegie, and in the 70s, what they taught me in library school was there used to be a lot more funding for that. So so I don't know, is that something that you've had any grants for, Amy? Have you been able to track anything down?
Well, for our vestibule, I don't know how many of you guys have actually been here, but our door that we walked in used to just be the door. You know, the
Right.
leaves came in, the snow came in, the cold air came in, everything came in. And we actually got part of the seed grant this past year, and that helped us build our vestibule. So we now have a glass vestibule when you walk in. And it has made a huge difference. Our electricity on this side went out, and had we not had that vestibule, we probably would have had to close. So it has made a huge difference. But yeah, I did get the seed grant. I'm always looking for grants that will help with building. The problem is, oh, there's our vestibule.
Yeah, I noticed that on your website earlier. I was like, that wasn't there last time I visited.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it makes sense. Yeah, because as you can see,
Yes.
folks, that door opens up, and I'm sure that would just, I mean, luckily the circ desk wasn't right next to it. It was kind of in another section, but I'm sure, yeah, leaves, snow,
Oh yeah.
Kansas winds. And
Yes.
that's the main entrance to the library right off of the parking there.
Yeah, so it's really classed up the joint, I tell you.
And when did that go in?
It got finished just about 2 months ago.
Okay.
There were a lot of, once they started looking at things, they were like, oh, did you know this was this way? And I'm like, nope, just fix it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things. But
Right.
when you're dealing with an old building, I think you just have to expect it.
Yeah. It is a pretty old building. It's got some interesting parts to it because it has like that kind of upper attic kind of space that I've never ventured into. It's interesting. It's got personality, that's for sure.
Yeah. I can touch the ceiling in my office, but it's about 20 feet high in the main area. So there's like 7 different ceilings.
All right, so that's a lot what's going on with the building. They're expanding, busting at the seams, it seems like, and really ready for this. We don't have a whole heck of a lot of time, but I thought there was maybe a couple things we might like. Let's do you want to talk a little bit about summer reading? How'd your program go? How are your numbers?
Our summer reading went really well. It didn't go as well as it has before, but we also have a new community theater here in town. And then we also have the Banner Creek Science Center. We chose to not have anything on Wednesdays because Banner Creek does a lot of kids stuff on Wednesdays. But unfortunately, the community theater had something every day that we had something planned. So we kind of, halvesied. But our very first program, the Touch a Truck, over 125 kids came to that. So that was a good day because nobody else had anything planned. But it just kind of depended also on who we had come for the shows. We have decided, because we are building and because we're trying to get the community more involved in that, next summer we are going to have just local entertainment and just local shows, because we are very fortunate to be close to Potawatomi Reservation, and they have some beautiful dancers out there, and I'm hoping to get them. And we have a magician here in town, and I think we're just going to do a bunch of local stuff next year and see how that goes, because I really think that if we had more local involvement, it might work a little better.
Seems like a really good plan. Give it a shot and report back to us. I think it's great highlighting people in your community. If you have the means to do it, why not give it a shot? That's great. Did you do any adult type programming, or is it pretty much focusing on the kiddos and the adults just do their normal stuff?
It's pretty much focusing on the kiddos. We did, like Fable had the Brews for Books. That's all adults, of course. And we do have our Thursday Thursday Thread Club, and that's when the adults come and do that kind of thing. But yeah, we didn't do a whole lot for the summer. We did do reading logs, and an adult did win some really cool prizes. So
Cool.
yeah.
All right. Pays to read.
Yes, it does.
We kind of talked about, is it Fable? Is that right?
Yes.
The friends group. Okay. You've talked about some of the great things. They're new, they energized, kind of kickstarted this building project a little bit, putting together videos last minute. So it seems like you are a fan of having this new friends group. How did you get a friends group started if you don't have one? What did you guys do?
Well, there was a group of about 8 people, but they didn't take memberships and they didn't really include everybody. But so they, and they did it after I came, they did one fundraising event. We had trivia night and it worked out really well. This other group of moms kind of always hung out together. We're always doing things. They were always here at the library. And our board president, Sandy Morris, asked one of them, hey, would you be interested in the friends group, or starting a friends group, or joining with the one we have, and maybe, magnifying what they're doing. And she got with her friends and they all agreed. And I borrowed the book from Neckles, actually. I think it's The Good, the Bad, the Ugly Friends Group. I can't think. The Good, the Bad, the Not So Good. I don't remember. But anyway, and Carly read that book and then she shared it with a couple other people and they're like, oh yeah, we can do this. And it is now their mission to make sure that Beck Bookman Library grows into what their kids and what their grandkids are going to need.
Cool. I'll try to look up that book since it sounds like it came from our professional collection.
Yes.
And when we do the wrap up, I'll send it out to folks because it sounds like that you found it useful. I did have a question coming in. Let's see. Had a summer building. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So Sandy was saying that there was a summer of building. And then one of the other questions was, do you think the CSLP adventure begins at your library for your local performers? Or since you're doing like something local, do you think you'll do your own theme?
I don't know. We might go ahead and use that theme and see if our local people will work around it. Our readers, we invited one reader to come and I put it out there, everywhere. Look who came. And now everybody, like this week we have hospice coming to read, and now everybody wants to come read. Everybody wants to be a part of Rhyme Time. So I think once you just put it out there that somebody else liked doing it, then all of a sudden everybody wants to give it a try. But I think if we incorporate the theme, and then that way we can have some of the tools already there, and I think we can do that. But I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of leftover stuff, so we'll probably be using a lot of this year's stuff next year too, because this year I gave people the option of taking everything instead of giving them every single thing right off the bat in a bag. So we have a lot left over.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard of a library that basically was just following the year behind, because they were like just grabbing up all the unused summer reading stuff and then they'd hold on to it for the next year. Although that can be risky because I've seen some things run out. So the bags run out. So
yeah.
Well, that's almost the time we have. I just wanted to see anything about partnerships there in Holton that you've worked with, especially with this building. You mentioned that you take this video out or we'll share it. Who are the kind of key partners that you've kind of identified at this point, besides that awesome friends group?
Yes. Well, I have talked to Johnsonville, only they need plans. They need very specific plans to see what we're going to do and how much it's going to cost. But they have invited me back to bring everything with me, and they said that they will donate. Prairie Band Casino also has said that they are very interested in helping, and they're all community minded. And then of course we have the banks who always, we said we needed a soft chair, we got 4. So it's really amazing around here. And I think once we get everything specific as to what we're going to do, I think we're going to have a lot of help as far as partnerships go.
All right. Well, I hope that was good for you, Amy. I think you did a wonderful job. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being my guest. I can't do the program without having folks be in the hot seat for 30 minutes. So I do appreciate it. We'll get these links out to everybody. And I think that's pretty much it. So thank you for being here. And I hope you have a great day. Talk
Great.
to y'all
Thank
later.
you. You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.